The body count continued to rise in the season finale of AMC's The Walking Dead last night. For perhaps most shocking to viewers was the bloody battle that took the life of, now this is a spoiler alert, dorks, the character of Andrea, whose TV guide noted is still alive in the comic books the series is based on. So she's still alive in the comic books, the real nerd world. She's just dead on TV, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Andrea succumbed to a fatal zombie bite.
We're seeing the creators of the show diverge from the comic book that it's based on, and Andrea is a really popular character in the comics. She, long after the events that we're seeing in the show right now, continues to be a love interest for one of the main characters, but they killed her off last night. There was also a big battle showdown that fans of the comic were looking forward to unfolding one way, and it unfolded another way with the kind of insane, evil villain character of the governor. Instead of fighting the good guy, Rick, and all of his people, he ended up turning on his own people and mowing them down. And so it was very kind of, you know, action-packed, I think exciting, but also
Is this a bad idea, though? Is it a bad idea when you diverge from the comic book? When something is based on a comic book, there's a whole kind of complex of fans that commit to it, and then when they see something different in the comics, like I could imagine a whole group of kids in their mom's basement, you know, wearing, you know, costumes, ticked off, 40-year-old men in their mom's basement, of course, ticked off because this character's dead.
Costumes.
Yes, right, exactly.
That was me.
And they're ticked off because this girl's dead now in the show when they're so committed to the comic book. We've seen this with all the other shows.
I think it's the right thing to do. I think that a show has to be its own thing. It has to work on its own terms. And, you know, the comic books are source material, but there are times when you have to break from what's in a comic book and say, you know, this is the most popular show on cable. It doesn't have to slavishly answer to some graphic novel. Like, they can make their own show at this point. And, you know, I think you saw the same thing happening on Game of Thrones last night. There were slight changes, but, you know, a show is different from a comic book.
I can live with a slight change. I can live with a slight adjustment. Like you read The Color Purple, and you know there's extra characters, right? You know, or you know there's different characters, a different ending. Like I'm cool with that. I don't need to be a one-to-one correlation.
Yeah.
But when you start having characters that are alive in comic books and dead on the screen, I just think it gets really weird, and I think you lose fans. I think you lose the most committed fans, which are the nerds.
You run the risk, but I also think that, you know, it's variations on a theme. And if you look at, you know, Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, that's kind of pulling on a whole bunch of different things from all kinds of different comic books in the Batman series, and then it's coming up with, it's inventing new things as well, and it's considered basically a masterpiece. So I think that television, as it kind of matures and becomes something other than silly stuff that we watch, you know, because there's nothing else to do, to really an art form, I think it's important for creators to have that.
I'm glad you said that. The TV is now an art form.